What's going on, Crimson Tide fans? Chris Daughtry here with the Alabama Football Report by Chat Sports. Coming up on today's show, two big-time trench targets have put Alabama in their top four. And also, it was move-in day both yesterday and today for Alabama's final three summer enrollees from their 2025 class. So we'll break it all down on today's video. But first, we are closing in on 500 new subscribers here in the month of May. We've been pushing this. I told you guys that the bosses have told us we need to get 500 new subscribers here in the month of May, or else, I didn't ask what or else meant, less studio time possibly, which means less videos and less information going out to you guys. So help me out. Make sure you guys hit that sub button for me right now. We've got free Alabama football YouTube videos all off season and during the season as well. So make sure you guys stay up to date by hitting that sub button for me right now. All right, the first player that we're going to break down today is Malachi Lee. He is a four-star offensive tackle, the number 10 offensive tackle in this class. Pretty much across all of the recruiting sites there. I think On3 also has him as the number 10 offensive tackle. This, of course, is the composite rankings for him. He's the number 139 player overall and the number 2 player out of the state of Hawaii. This is an absolutely massive human being. 6'7", 318 pounds. Now, there has been some interest, recently with USC, but seems like Trojans aren't really in it anymore. On3 Steve Wilfong back in February actually put a prediction in for Malachi Lee to commit to USC, but USC did not crack Lee's top four. 247 Sports' Steve Lorenz also put a crystal ball in for Michigan. That was back in October of 2024. So it does seem like, things are really equal right now in terms of where Lee could end up going in this 2026 recruiting cycle. He's got official visits set up to Georgia, Alabama, Texas, and Michigan. That Alabama visit is coming up this coming weekend. So definitely take note of that. We'll see what happens with Alabama. He did have a top 6 not too long ago. BYU and USC were the two schools that Malachi Lee eliminated. Now, Andrew Bone of Bama Online did also mention that Alabama is a legitimate contender here, but it will be really hard to fend off teams like Michigan and Georgia when it comes to this recruiting battle, but it doesn't mean it cannot happen. Alabama does a really, really good job of really rolling out the red carpet during these official visits. So we'll see what happens. Michigan gets the last official visit there for Malachi Lee. So we're really going to hope that Alabama can really roll out the red carpet there on May 30th. So out of those 4 schools, who do you guys think Malachi Lee will commit to? Type G if you think it's going to be Georgia, A if you think it's Alabama, T if you think it's going to be Texas, or type M if you think he will commit to Michigan. We know Texas and Michigan really got that bag on him. You're going to have to be taking a bit of a discount if you want to go to Georgia or Alabama, but we know Alabama is where legends are made. So let me know what you guys think at the pinned comment of today's video. Next player we're talking about here, actually talked about him a little bit on yesterday's video as well. Titan Davis, he is a 4-star defensive lineman inside that top 100 as well, the number 3 player out of the state of Missouri. I think this is a guy that could play either that bandit position or maybe also kick over to the interior of the defensive line. He's 6'5", 260 pounds right now, so you can add some weight onto him if you want to put him on the interior of the defensive line, or you could just kind of keep him where he is right now. Maybe burn off some of that fat, add some muscle on there, but keep him around the same weight so he doesn't lose any speed or pass rushing ability or anything like that. But it's definitely a big-time name along the defensive line that Alabama wants to get in their 2026 recruiting class. He did drop his top 4 the other day as well. Alabama, Penn State, USC, and Michigan will all also get official visits for him. Now, there was also some interesting stuff, on him as well. He actually swapped out Nebraska for USC. So he was going to visit Nebraska there on June 13th, but ended up deciding switching that with USC. So he is also going to be on campus here on May 30th. Coming up this weekend, we'll see what happens with him if, a commitment does end up happening, because there have been times where, Alabama has been able to do a really good job during official visits, and those kids end up shutting it down, end up making those commitments. If those do happen, we will put shorts out for you guys, so make sure you are subscribed as well. But the top 4 right there for Davis: Alabama, Penn State, USC, and Michigan. Now, when you look to the interior of the defensive line for Alabama right now, this is that same graphic we showed you guys the other day as well. I just took off those Wolf positions. Tim Keenan, James Smith, LT Overton, most likely gone after this season. I would say Tim Keenan and LT Overton is a definite. James Smith kind of just depends on what kind of a season he ends up having this year. Definitely think he's going to be a prominent interior defensive lineman for Alabama. You saw the flashes last year. I think if he continues just to take another step forward here, James Smith is going to have a real good opportunity to go very high in the 2026 NFL draft. But then you also have some really other good depth options as well along the defensive line. I really love Jeremiah Beeman, Jordan Renaud as well. Edric Hill got a lot of buzz as well. London Simmons, a guy from that 2025 class that we'll talk about here in just a second. Isaiah Faga, we'll see what happens with him. Really hadn't been a ton of buzz, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he's not, grinding, working in the weight room and stuff like that. These off-season, these summer times are really big for some of those guys as well to just continue to get better. Steve Mbamua, I think he's a guy that could play bandit or possibly even kick into the interior as well. You're going to get him as well, from the JUCO ranks. He was supposed to be a guy in that 2025 class as well, but did not, 2024 class, but had to go to JUCO first and get that English credit as well because he is from Canada, speaks French, so had to get that, English credit there for Steve Mbamua. And then we all know the story of Keon Keeley at that bandit spot, came in as a edge rusher. They kind of transformed his body a little bit, but former 5-star guy, we've been waiting for Keon Keeley to be able to get his opportunity. And then Kelby Collins as well. You got him out of the transfer portal from Florida. Kane Womack said he had been working kind of at that bandit, but also kind of inside at that interior of that defensive line. So we'll see what happens, but I really do like what Alabama has currently right now on the defensive line. We'll continue with our show here in just a second, but want to give a shout out to our friends over at Fanatics. Father's Day is right around the corner, and you guys can get an Alabama Crimson Tide Scenic Polo today just by going to chatsports.com/Bama Polo. They're about 50% off right now. Originally around $100. I think they're at $49.99 right now. So really, really cool. You got the stadium on there. You got Denny Chimes on there. You got the band practice field on there. A lot of different buildings around campus as well. So you guys can go over to chatsports.com/Bama Polo to get that Alabama Scenic Polo today. That link will be in the comment section and the description of today's video. All right, the final 3 players from Alabama's 2025 recruiting class, summer enrollees, are officially on campus as of today. Chuck McDonald, he moved in yesterday. We'll talk about him a little bit more here in just a second. He moved in yesterday at that cornerback spot. Kaleb Edwards, the baby-faced assassin with the goggles, the glasses. Absolutely love this kid in his, highlights that he put up in high school. He's at that tight end spot. Both Kaleb Edwards and London Simmons both moving in today. London Simmons, of course, at that defensive line spot as well. A little bit lower ranked, but we'll talk about him as well here in just a second. Chuck McDonald, man, this is a kid that I think is really going to thrive in Kane Womack's system. He's a 4-star cornerback, number 51 overall. Plenty of people could argue that he could be a little bit higher ranked in terms of that position ranking there, but this is a kid that works really, really hard. He's absolutely shredded as well. Also, another guy in that cornerback room from Mater Dei High School. The cornerbacks is nothing but Mater Dei kids. So, absolutely love this kid at that cornerback spot. Is he going to play this year? Probably not, unless there's injury concerns that could happen. You definitely don't want to force him into some playing time. But, when you look at this cornerback room, these guys, this is, I think, one of the best rooms that you have outside of the wide receiver room, especially those 2 units going up against each other in practice. Damani Jackson, I think, is set for a very, very big year. Zabian Brown, incredible freshman year. We'll see if he has that sophomore slump. I don't think that is in his DNA. That Husky spot, sounds like Deshaun Jones is going to be that guy. You saw a lot of Red Morgan there last year, but Kane Womack really was hyping up Deshaun Jones a little bit this springtime as well. So you got Cam Calhoun, you got Deshaun Lee, Red Morgan, Chuck McDonald there for those depth pieces at that cornerback spot. Drake Kirkpatrick, too, as well. He really, got a lot of buzz this spring as well. So, man, this cornerback group, they were already going to be really good. You add another top player in that 2025 recruiting class in Chuck McDonald as well. Over to the tight end spot, you're adding Kaleb Edwards. Is he going to play a little bit this year? Probably not. I think, Alabama last year, they really utilized 3 tight ends, I would say. You got Josh Cuevas there. He's going to be back. He played a little bit last year, but then you also had C.J. Dupree and Robbie Oots as well. Daniel Lewis Jr. played a little bit last year, but let's be honest, he really has not been able to see the field a ton. I think he's going to have a breakout year this year, and you also added the 2 guys out of the transfer portal in Jackson Marco and Brody Dalton as well. So, considering what you had during that springtime, I think you feel a whole lot better about that tight end spot going into fall camp. And then, lastly, you have London Simmons. I really enjoyed watching this kid's highlights and watching him play. He is a 3-star guy, very low, outside the top 500, 59 defensive linemen from that class, but man, when you watch just his transformation from his junior season to his senior season, he lost a ton of weight, and he looked absolutely incredible. I don't know how you can be ranked outside the top 500 and have 67 tackles as a defensive lineman in your senior season, 27 tackles for loss, 11 and a half sacks. This kid was absolutely incredible in his senior season. I definitely think he's going to be a prime example is one of those players that is going to be a diamond in the rough. And I think he could also be a player that, in a year, or maybe even 2 or 3 years, you're going to look back at this and be like, wow, Courtney Morgan, Freddie Roach, Kalen DeBoer, these guys did an incredible job in his recruitment as well. So very excited about those 3 summer enrollees finally getting on campus here in Tuscaloosa. So go ahead and welcome the summer enrollees to campus by typing your RTRs for Roll Tide Roll in the comments section of today's show.